So you've decided to learn hypnosis. What should you do next? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. I'm Chris Thompson.
I'm Mike Mandel.
We run MikeMandelHypnosis.com, and we want to talk about this because it's actually a really important topic. A lot of people, they decide, I want to learn hypnosis. I've committed, I've decided I'm going to learn hypnosis. Okay, maybe you've watched some videos, maybe you've read some books, but what should you actually be doing in what kind of order?
Great question.
To start building some mastery?
Brilliant. You have to build the foundations. If you want to build a solid understanding and ability in hypnosis, it's not enough to little bit of this, little bit of that. That's how I was forced to learn in the 60s.
Because there was no video.
There were no videos. There was no access to trainings or anything like that.
It was books and trial and error, right? Pretty
books
much.
And trial. Yeah, that was pretty much it. Yeah. It was exactly that.
Yeah. And when we say learning the principles and those foundational principles, that's not reading scripts at people.
No.
Understanding the fundamentals of how to have a good conversation with someone would never be a script that you read at someone. So why should hypnosis go that way, right?
Well, scripts are okay as training wheels. They can enable you to learn some basic language patterns of how to get someone in and out of trance, but you've got to move beyond them. And the way to do that is to create language skills that you can bring into any situation. And we mean the NLP aspects of pacing and leading and the pattern you're going to use.
We often talk about helping students develop their language generator because we all have it, as you often point out, Mike, that we can generate language flawlessly when we're in an ordinary conversation.
We just do.
So we're just installing this version of a language generator that is the hypnotic language generator. One of the basic skills that everyone can learn really quite quickly with some practice is simple pacing and leading and developing confidence with your hypnotic pattern, how you speak, the pacing at which you speak. And we could talk a bit more about pacing and leading in a moment because we have some suggestions. But the other thing to do is to make sure that you are actually practicing this stuff.
This is a key point, isn't it, Chris? How many times we've said, it's like somebody wants to learn to swim and they keep looking at the pool and reading books about swimming and so on. There's nothing that is the equal of actually getting in the pool and swimming. And it's the same with hypnosis. And you can't get by without the practice.
You can practice things like pacing and leading in everyday conversations that you're already having with people. And if you go a little further and you're studying hypnosis and practicing full inductions and change work sessions, you've got to practice with a mix of other hypnosis students and preferably non-hypnosis students, people that are in your life already or that you invite into your life to experience this. That way you'll get some experience with the confidence that knowing you're working with another student who's favorable to the idea, they're not going to resist you. And then, of course, mapping that across to work.
Taking it out into the real world, whatever that is, and hypnotizing other people, typically not your own family at first, because it'll be a big joke to many people. But yeah, getting the practice with other hypnosis students and people outside of hypnosis.
Two simple ways to do that with us would be, number one, if you're in the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy, we have 24/7 practice rooms that you're welcome to use and go and hang out with other students and practice stuff. The other thing is we have a more live coaching type of experience called Foundations Live. I'll make sure there's a link in the description where you're going to show up weekly with us over an 8-week period. And you're going to actually practice very specific things with other students and get live feedback and motivation. And you'll actually develop some amazing skills. Anyway, enough about Foundations Live and the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy for now.
Right. Now, we think one of the things, example of learning very early on is revivification, which means to revivify, to bring something back to life. And we teach our students how to take something, a favorable experience, something they enjoy doing, an activity.
Reading a book, playing volleyball,
reading a book, swimming, running, whatever it is. And then we have them go back into that experience in their mind. And by using language, we bring it back to life. And this is foundational because they begin to create natural trances.
That's right. Now, when you're practicing a beginner exercise like revivification of a past pleasant experience for someone, that doesn't even have to be framed as hypnosis. You can just say, would you like to have an interesting experience? People are going to say yes to that. They're going to experience it. You're going to have some confidence. That's a whole lot easier than your first practice being trying to stick your mom's hand at the coffee table.
Which may work, but
it will more often than not lead to an experience where, oh, it didn't go the way it was supposed to.
Yeah.
I guess I failed.
Make it easy on yourself at first, using things that are likely to work almost all the time, like revivification, learning to build pacing and leading statements, and realize that failure is only feedback. It's just a moment in time. And Chris, you said this the other day. I love this.
You know, if you do all of this stuff and then you fail at the end, it's really not failure until that last little moment where something didn't go according to plan. And you've got feedback all along the way. You've got some positive momentum, some positive results. And then, oh, this didn't quite go according to plan. So now I have some feedback on how I can do a better job.
And there's going to be natural limits anyway. So go easy on yourself at the beginning. You know, if you hypnotize your friend Bob so that his sister Pauline forgets her name, that's not likely
probably not going to work.
Yeah.
Because you've hit a limit. You can't control Pauline by hypnotizing Bob. So remember, just practice things incrementally. I mentioned the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy and Foundations Live. I want to give you a bit of an on-ramp here. Mike and I are going to give you a bit of an on-ramp, some suggested activities that you can do right now. But before we do that, let's briefly talk about conversational hypnosis and direct hypnosis and why you really want to learn both of these.
Right. And these aren't two sides of the same coin. This is a continuum. And at one end, you have an extremely directive style of hypnosis called paternal hypnosis, which is in your face and very instructive to the person, taking control and authority over them. And the other end, you have the very fluffy Milton Erickson stuff that is sort of weaving this verbal aikido around the person and creating trance. And you've got all these places in between that you can drop in and intervene. You can be more direct or more indirect. And that's why we think you need to learn both.
I really think you need to learn both, especially because let's say that you only learned the direct style. And a great example of that would be, let's say, Dave Ellman's work, right?
Sure.
Well, if I walk up to you in a social situation and I say, I'm going to shake your hand 3 times, and on the first hand, your eyes are going to blink.
First hand?
First shake. First shake. The 3 handshake induction.
And you can see why this would not work.
This is a very direct thing. You're telling the person that when I shake your hand the first time, this will happen. The second time, this thing will happen. And on the third time, your eyes will close and you'll go into trance. That's very direct hypnosis. That's fine if somebody has come to you for hypnosis.
And you have rapport with them and so on. Yeah.
But you will have few opportunities to practice that in casual environments where you could be using the hypnotic language generator that comes out of conversational hypnosis. You could be using pacing and leading. So you are limiting yourself if you only learn one model. And that's why we recommend learning both.
And we think you should learn the conversational stuff up front.
We do. And so leading to our on-ramp here, this is what we want to suggest that everyone practice in the very beginning. Learn how to use artfully vague language and specifically start with something called a truism. We'll call it a truism. It could be something that is either true or could be true.
Cannot be falsified. It could be true. It can be as simple as, well, we're here today, aren't we? You know, it's a beautiful day outside. Or, you know, this is your first session today, isn't it? These cannot be argued with if they're true.
I could say something to Mike like, and I know we'll be going to lunch after this, which is true.
Yes,
he's going. So when you're saying things that must be true in that person's representation of life, then you will build you'll build yes sets in their mind.
And you'll start to smooth the way into
rapport.
Trance. Yes.
Right. So
exactly,
and artfully vague is not like, I'm not going to say Mike's t-shirt is black. That's a very obvious, it's not vague at all.
Right.
And I can say, and one can become aware of a color of fabric that they're wearing. Like now it's what exactly I wouldn't say
so
that.
Subtle. It's open to interpretation. It cannot be falsified.
Yes.
And even listening to this now, you can find aspects of it that you had not thought about prior to now.
And another thing I could say is, and you'll probably go on vacation at some point in the future.
In your life.
Well, probably, it's not a certainty, but if you know somebody has a history of going on vacation, you say, and I'm sure you've contemplated where you might want to go next on vacation at some point in the last year. They're probably going to go, yeah, I have, right? Because it's a very vague statement. So stuff like that, practice making those kinds of vague statements.
Indirect stuff, very subtle.
I know we said we'd turn it into pacing and leading, so we may as well end on that. We'll explain a quick example. What's pacing and leading?
Well, pacing, it's like two people running at the same rate, at the same pace. And in hypnosis and NLP, when we pace someone, we feed back their current experience. So if the person's sitting in a chair, I can say, and you can feel that you're sitting in a chair.
Truism.
It's a truism as well. When I offer a few pacing statements, and it's simple for you to become aware of your own breathing and notice the temperature of the room. And then I can go into a leading statement and say, And you can even relax more now. So if I do 3 or 4 pacing statements, then when I offer a leading statement, the person will follow that. We're getting James Tripp's green flag coming back.
Right. And you can do this in a hypnotherapy context, or you can do this in an everyday situation. And I know that you had a hard day at work today, and we've had a conversation in the past about how you might want to change your career path. And I know that you've contemplated where you could take such and such a course that you've discussed. And that can allow you to feel much more certain about your future. That's a simple thing you can do too, right? Where you have pacing, 3 truism statements and a leading statement that leads people somewhere that is better for them.
Excellent.
So that's
where they want to be. Yeah.
So the longer video than I think we intended to make this, but
Indeed.
Hopefully very productive. I want to recommend that if you are brand new or not, either way, go and sign up for our free course. We have one. It's called NUVI, which originally was nominalization, unspecified verb induction, but our teammate Timothy has convinced us we should now call it nominalization, unspecified verb integration. Because what you're going to learn in this course, and it's free, by the way, is how to tie together nominalizations and unspecified verbs using linkages. That becomes your never-ending sentence hypnotic language generator.
And to simplify that, yes, by learning this, you'll generate hypnotic language on the fly.
You're also going to be learning cool stuff like yes sets,
there is
compliance sets, and binds and embedded commands, all kinds of awesome stuff. It's a great course. So check out the link in the description under this video. While you're here, you may as well hit the subscribe button on YouTube, ring that bell, smash the bell, so you'll always be notified.
Better, please. Thank you.
Do that. That's much more satisfying. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks again.
And good night.